What's going on, everybody? This is Dr. Grimmett from Forge Physio. Today we are going over the back extension. So at our space, we don't have a GHD machine, or we don't have specifically one of the 45-degree back extension machines. So what we've done is we've taken a reverse hyper machine, and we take a strap and we put it across the handles, and our legs push up into the strap, which allows us to create an anchor point to move into back extension. So this full perpendicular position, or excuse me, my body's parallel to the floor position, where I'm hanging fully perpendicular to the floor, is a little bit more of an aggressive position than like a 45-degree back extension. So if you're like a commercial space, typically we want to start there. But if you have access to a GHD machine, those work well. You can adjust the pad, the curved, like the crescent-shaped pad that goes on your hips. You can move it away from your body where it comes up your torso, and it creates less of a moment arm, so it's a little bit easier for my back to use. And I can do the same thing with this setup. And then the more advanced version is going to be, in our opinion, creating more of a little bit of a segmented back extension versus just hinging at my low back. So it all depends on what the goal or the intent of the movement is, and we have it designed to be a little bit different for everybody. So we're going to walk you through both examples. So if I get set up, for me, I'm going to go to the top position up here. I got to make sure that my strap is set. And then if I want to be less aggressive, what I'm going to do is I'm going to scoot myself back so that my hips are on this pad. And then I'm just going to hold an isometric position to start. And if I can do that, no problem, then I'll start scooting out to where the isometric becomes a little bit harder. So if I scoot my torso out a little bit harder, and eventually to the hardest position is going to be with my hips starting to come over the edge, and I'm holding that top position. And then if I want to go into the full back extension version, what I'm going to do is I'm coming to this bottom position, and I'm going to hang, and I'm going to keep my hands around my belly button. I'm going to come to the top position and pause. If I want to make it a little bit harder, I'll bring my hands up around my chest, come up and pause. A little bit harder, I'll bring my hands up to my head, pause. If I want to make it as hard as possible, I'll roll hands all the way overhead and come up to that top position, pause. That's going to be the hardest version. Now, if I want to go in more of a segmentation, which is a little bit harder, I hold this top position, keeping my low back where it's at, and I try to move just my upper back. And then eventually, once my upper back runs out of space, my lower back starts to follow, almost like I'm doing a crunch. And I come all the way to that bottom position. And then when I go back up, I go with my low back first, then my mid to kind of low back, mid upper back, and then all the way up into that top position. And that's a lot harder to do, to create that segmentation between your vertebrae. And it puts a lot more load into your hips in that top position due to how slow that you're going. So again, to summarize, if I want to make it as hard as possible, I'm going to scoot away from my anchor point. My hips are going to hang off the edge. And I'm going to go as slow as possible with my hands all the way out overhead. And then if I want to add a load, I can add a weight and go through that same progression where I start with the weight at my belly, bring it up to my chest, bring it up to about my head, and then hold it above my head. Or simply just add a heavier weight, will increase the difficulty as well. And then the hardest version is going to be doing all those exact same progressions, but with a single leg setup. And I would start the same way, meaning start with an isometric, and then start with a regular hinge or back raise, and then go back to the segmented version. So we're just trying to drop our upper back, mid back, low back, and then reverse back out of that.